Hello everybody and welcome back once again to the end. We are continuing our Main Streets of Gadgetzan card breakdown, and we are starting with the Jade Lotus. Now, before we can go any further, we have to talk about what the major mechanic with the Jade Lotus is, which are the Jade Golems. So we kind of have to explain that. Anyway, what happens are that there are a lot of cards in the Jade Lotus set that actually summons a Jade Golem. Now, every single time you summon a Jade Golem, what happens are that they end up appearing and getting stronger by +1/+1. So the first one you summon is a 1/1, second one a 2/2, then 3/3, etc., etc., etc. I think they go up to maybe like a 30/30. We haven't got any clue that they go up higher than that, probably because by the time you hit 30/30, yeah, your opponent's just dead. But just some interesting thoughts. Some interesting parts about it. It says it all talks about summoning Jade Golems. So yeah, and they end up as actual cards. So they'll have the cost. So there'll be a 1 cost 1/1, a 2 cost 2/2, a 3 cost 3/3. And when they hit 10 costs, they stay 10 costs. So you can have it'll be a 10 cost 30/30. But let's say that somehow like your a 2 cost 2/2 Jade Golem is sent back to your hand. I believe this is how this works. Okay, because the card is actually physical. But since you play it, yeah, it's not gonna be a 2 cost. It's not gonna be a 3 cost 3. It's not gonna be a 3/3. It's still gonna be a 2/2. But on the counter, that means that it will actually go up 1 more. So instead of summoning a 3/3 next time, you'll summon a 4/4. I believe that's how it's going to work. But yeah, so a lot of the Jade Lotus stuff are the main powers. Kind of focus on the ability to summon Jade Golems. So we're going to be talking about those type of decks. Do you have anything to talk about with the mechanic, Eddie?
We gonna see a new fun sort of archetype coming in with this Jade Golem stuff. I'm ready to dive in. Let's go.
Oh, I'm very excited. This really sounds like the type of deck I would enjoy building. But starting off with all the Jade Golem discussion, we have Jade Blossom, which is a 3-cost Druid spell, which summons a Jade Golem, and you gain an empty mana crystal. So interesting point of fact. Initially, I thought this card would work a little bit like what was it? Something growth, wild growth.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought it would work like wild growth. Whereas, if you have 10 mana, you'd actually get access mana and be able to draw a card. However, during the stream today, they showed this card being played when the player had 10 mana, and it only summoned a Jade Golem. They did not gain the excess mana card. So that is going to be something to keep in mind, guys. It is not like Wild Growth where you can gain excess mana and can draw a card. Basically, get that 0-cost card to get more spells. It basically focused on the Jade Golem synergy. Maybe they'll change that. Maybe they'll patch that. But as of right now, that is not a synergy that is in the deck. Which means you get this, you need to consider playing it for the empty mana crystal, because otherwise that effect will be wasted come turn 10.
However, I believe when I was rewatching the match with the Jade Blossom, while it didn't gain the empty mana crystal, it at least recharged one of the mana crystals. I have to I'll triple check and kind of leave a note for future Eddie to make sure that he puts in a note that says he was right or he was wrong.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at Jade Blossom, and I'm just going, alright, we're making it to where Druid is now on that ramp page again. And so it's like, alright, we're getting the Golem, we're getting an empty mana crystal, let's go, boys. Let's go.
Well, I think in general, especially with Jade Golem Druid deck, you're going to want a ramp. And yeah, this is kind of the perfect ramp card, I think, for a Jade Golem ramp Druid deck. Because you're going to get the Jade Golem you so desperately want, but you also get a empty mana crystal to use in future turns to do a lot more things. So yeah, so you hold on to if you are running Wild Growth, you hold on to them in preference to Jade Blossom to do what you want to do, to ramp up, and then you can use your wild growths later on in the game.
Mm-hmm. If anything, Bob, if you're, I assume you're done, yes?
Yeah.
Next up, we get to move on to Burgly Bully. It is a 5-cost, 4/6. Whenever your opponent casts a spell, add a coin to your hand. Well, I look at the Burgly Bully, and I can go, alright, well, it may deter my opponent from attempting to play a spell to be able to get rid of this or something else on my side of the field. Especially if I'm rogue. Because I can see Burgly Bully being played in rogue. Because they're one of the classes that loves coins. And getting more free coins because my opponent decides they want to play spells. More spells for me to be able to pull off my combo shenaniganery later on down the line. Plus, it's not too terrible as far as the stat line goes. So if anything, Bob?
Yeah, I agree with you. I could definitely see Rogue playing this. But at the same time, I have to wonder whether it will see play. Because why I think it's actually not a bad effect. Because I actually think it's a decent effect. I also know that a lot of players don't play the Trogs. They didn't play Burly Rockjog Trog. They didn't play Trogs or the Earthinator. And I thought all of those were decent, but the meta just shifted away. People didn't like playing them. So hopefully Burgly Bully kind of finds its home in the right decks. But I don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see, because past experience has shown that Hearthstone players tend to shift away from these type of cards.
Plus, it is a little bit difficult to pull with it being an epic and all. But you never know. You may get lucky.
Yeah. So next up, we have Mana Geode. Mana Geode is a 2-cost, 2/3 priest minion that says whenever this minion is healed, summon a 2/2 crystal. This is kind of neat. This can go and kind of do what priest kind of sort of wants to do. I mean, yes, you're going to probably have to buff it up. But, yeah, being able to just try to get some board presence, keep it up, just keep on spawning things, especially if you have a free heal. I can actually see this. I can see this minion surprising people, Eddie. I really can. A lot of people are writing this minion off. I can see the right decks. People essentially buffing the crap out of this thing, essentially making sure that they can keep constant board presence and constantly healing this. So yeah, I think this is something to watch out for. Maybe nothing comes of it, but this has some possibilities, I think.
Maybe nothing comes of it. Priest finally has a 2-cost minion he can play.
Yeah, it's a decent 2-cost minion. And yeah. Priest is a class that can definitely buff up this thing's health.
Oh yeah, I mean, you've got the power words that you can give to it. And so it's just like, okay, I'm going to give you 2 of those. And then if I really want to, I'll give you Divine Spirit, another Divine Spirit, Inner Fire Face.
Yes, I think this card will probably surprise some people.
Yeah, it really is good, especially with being able to just keep field presence. I really like it. Could see it in those Highlander decks because it's 2-drop. I like it. I really do. Next up, we have Jade Spirit. It's a 4-cost tri-class card with the stats of 2 attack, 3 health, with the battle cry, summon a Jade Golem. I'm just going to play you alongside Bran Bronzebeard, and I'm gonna get 2 free Jade Golems, or just play you in general and get more Jade Golems. I can play 2 of you, and at this point, it's like, I don't care at what part of the game I get you. You're giving me Jade Golems. You're really useful. You're really nice. In any of those 3 classes that's going to try to build a Jade Golem deck. Bulb?
Yeah, if you're playing a Jade Golem deck, this is essential. Just you pack 2 of these things, 2 of these suckers in there, and you go. Because the classes by themselves don't have a ton of Jade Golem cards. You need to make the most of it, so you're going to focus on this Jade Spirit, making sure that you have this in there. So next up, we have Jade Lightning, which is a 4-cost shaman spell that deals 4 damage and summons a Jade Golem. The damage is... well, I don't think you're going to play this for the damage. I'm just going to say it. I mean, yeah, it'd be nice, but if you're just trying to get 4 damage, Eddie, Shaman has better options. It's basically that does 4 damage and gives you a Jade Golem. So if you're making a Shaman Jade Golem deck, I can see you running this. Otherwise, I don't think Shaman players in general will run this card, because I think just a Lightning Bolt in general is way better than this card.
I am honestly resisting the urge to sing. When it comes to Jade Lightning. However, yes, you're going to play it if you're playing a Jade Golem centric deck. However, if you discover this card when you're playing one of the tri-class discover cards, it's a pretty good damage spell. I'm not gonna lie. So if you just need to go, okay, that minion's gotta go and that minion's gotta die, something like Flame Waker, and I get a free creature for it. Yay! So that's me on that.
I'm just saying that, I mean, that's good and all. Actually, I'm just going to say that's good and all if you're... Actually, I'm just going through every class, and every class just for damage, that's tri-class, has a better option that does 4 damage. It's only going to be useful if you're running a Jade Golem deck. If you're not running a Jade Golem deck, you're going to have better options, and you can probably find better options in the Discover card and in the Lotus Agents. So
just depends.
Yeah.
It really depends what it gives you. Because, I mean, there are some stinkers when you go to try to pull something from the Lotus Agents in Druid and Rogue and Shaman. So it's just like, what could I potentially... like? It's like, I could get this, or this. This could be the thing I need. Or you get something else that could be better. No doubt. However, we are going to move on to the gang leader of the Jade Lotus. And her name is Aya Blackpaw. She is a 6-cost, 5/3, with the battle cry and death rattle of Summon a Jade Golem. If I am being pulled towards playing Jade Golem deck, and she's an essential thing that I need to pull, because she is so dang good and useful. And if anything, like, if I wanted to play a N'Zoth Jade Golem deck, she is amazing to be played with it. Heck, even in Rogue, if you want to use and pull her as one of your Death Rattle cards that you find in Journey Below, she's great and useful to be able to pull from the Lotus Agents. She's something that's great and useful to just have. So it's like, she's very playable. And if anything, I'll go out and say it. She will be meta-defying because of the Jade Golem archetype. Bold.
First of all, just going to say it, she's adorable. Second of all, yeah, if you're running a Jade Golem deck, you have to play a Blackpaw. Absolute necessity. I can also see her being played in Death Rattle Rogue in general, just because Rogue has multiple ways to keep on bringing her back, and it doesn't have in that instance. It doesn't really have to be a Jade Golem deck in particular, but Death Rattle Rogue will use the Jade Golems anyway. So yeah, she's going to be very useful. And in that sense, very versatile. So that's exciting. Just in general, I think pretty much the price is right here. She is very powerful, and you are guaranteed to get at least 2 Jade Golems from her. If you're smart, you can think of ways to put multiples of her in the deck, put copy. You can do some really crazy things if you really put your mind to it with this card. So yeah, I agree with you. I think it will be meta defining because I really do think that the Jade Golem decks in particular, and in particular Jade Golem Druid, will be a meta defining deck after this expansion releases. So
oh my God,
yeah,
yes.
This is going to be a must craft card, guys. If you don't plan on playing Jade Golem or Death Rattle in general, just ignore her. She will be cute to everybody else and then make you suffer. So up next we have Jade Shuriken, which is a 2-cost rogue spell that deals 2 damage and combos to summon a Jade Golem. Again, same thing I said in Shaman. I mean, this is kind of decent until you consider some of Rogue's basic options. Yes, if you're running a Jade Golem deck, absolutely, it's going to be easy to combo to summon your Jade Golem, and this is going to be very important to deal 2 damage to kind of, control the board a little bit, which is what Rogue wants to do. But if you want to deal 2 damage in general, Rogue has much better options. In general, Backstab. And if you don't have Backstab, you have what, Eviscerate?
Mm-hmm.
Which at the very at minimum does 2 damage, and you can easily combo that too to do 4 damage. So considering all of Rogue's options, Jade Shuriken really does not fit into your typical Rogue deck. Now again, if you're running Jade Golems, this is going to be a must run, along with Eviscerate and along with Backstab. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be run in every Rogue deck, but I think it will be run in those Rogue decks that want to use the Jade Golems.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. And if anything, playing to the Rogue nature for Jade Shuriken, if you want to, you can also have it as a card that's extra burst damage in your Malagos Rogue. So it's one of those cards where you can look at it, you can go Jade Golem, Malagos. It's got some versatility to it, which I do like. However, this is more than likely going to be finding its home in the Jade Golem Rogue if people want to play the Jade Golem Rogue. But enough about the Jade Shuriken. Up now, we have the Hozen Healer, which I see it as a 4-cost, 2/6 battle cry, restore a minion to full health. I can understand where it can have some use if you're trying to protect a particular creature from keeping it from dying, like maybe one of your Jade Golems. Or if you want to, because you're going up against Priest, you can take your Hozen Healer and you can heal your Gurmosh Hellscream to make it to where it goes back to that 4 spot, because Priest can't hit that 4 spot. Or if you're just looking to have your creature fully healed, and it's one of your more boosted and busted combo pieces, Hozen Healer is for you. Can be useful also in Arena. But, Bulb?
Yeah, I think depending on the deck, this might find homes in very specific decks where you are wanting to keep very specific minions healed up. Maybe this will find a home in Taunt Warrior. Maybe. Certain combo decks where you're trying to keep certain minions on the field, yeah, I can see maybe packing this in for tech. But I also have to consider how often Hearthstone decks rely on heals to keep certain cards in place. So, I don't know. This is a toss-up. It may find a home. It may not. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. So, next up, we have Fight Promoter. Fight Promoter is a 6-cost 4/4 with Battle Cry. If you control a minion with 6 or more health, draw 2 cards. Okay. I can see this being used in some of the Grimy Goons decks for maybe some card draw. I could also see it being just used in just some general decks where you have a big thing out. I'm just wondering if you really need the ability to draw 2 cards at the 6-cost range, and if there are not just better cards just to do this. But absolutely, if you really want to use this as a method of card draw, it's not bad. And especially if you're playing in a Grimy Goons deck where you want to buff it up, then this card is not just going to be just a 4/4. And I think it was pointed out that, doesn't it count itself?
It does!
Which means if you do boost it up, you can use it by itself just to put it on the field and just be actually a better Azure Drake. So there you go. This could be the Azure Drake for the Grimy Goons decks.
I saw her, I looked at her when she was first announced, and I'm like, I wonder if her Battle Cry effect works when she's actually summoned. And I got to see it in action, and it's like, yes she does, and that's great. Because it's just 6-cost, 6/6, or a 4/4 if I've already got a creature that's got 6 defense on the field. I pull 2 cards from my deck. It's useful. It's good. I really like it. Yes, I'm going to be using it in my Grimy Goons. And if anything, if she can find a home in maybe something like... Because she could find a home in Druid as well. Depending on... Because like, you've got your Jade Golems out there. You can just play her, draw 2. So... I like her a lot. However, next we move on to Jade Swarmer. It is a 2-cost, 1/1 rogue card with the effect of Stealth, Death Rattle, summon a Jade Golem. I love the fact that it has Stealth, because I drop it. And as long as my opponent doesn't have a non-targeting AoE spell to be able to get rid of Jade Swarmer. I play Unearthed Raptor, I copy it. I'm getting 2 Jade Golem spells. Or, not 2 Jade Golem spells, I'm getting 2 Jade Golems. It's worthwhile and useful. And plus, if anything, on turn 4, if I just keep the little bugger hidden, I can buff him up with one of the other cards that was announced of Shadow Sensei. But we'll get to him later down the line. But I like him. Especially if we're going to try to make Jade Golem Rogue a thing.
Yeah, if you're playing Jade Golem Rogue, he's a necessity. I think, though, if you're playing regular Death Rattle Rogue, and Death Rattle Rogue, we talked about Aya Blackpaw essentially being probably an essential to the deck. I can see her being added to the deck. I don't know if Jade Swarmer would be added to Death Rattle Rogue as a regular card, because I don't know if they're going to rely too much on Jade Golem Death Rattles for just Death Rattle Rogue in general. I mean, it's
Think
interesting.
about it, though.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. Think about it, though. It's stealthed.
Mm-hmm.
If I play it, I'm then going to Unearth and Raptor it to make it, as long as it doesn't get killed because of AoE stuff. And it's just resummoned from N'Zoth. It's kind of regenerating Jade Golems.
Yeah, I get that. I'm just saying that if you're not making a Jade Golem specific Death Rattle deck, if you're just making a Death Rattle Rogue deck, whereas I can see Aya still being played in that deck, I'm not sure if I can still see Jade Swarmer being played in that deck because there are other options that you probably want. I mean, you still could. I'm thinking this is probably a card I would try to grab if I was playing a Jade Golem deck in general. Either if I was playing Rogue, he's definitely in there. If I'm not playing Rogue, I try to maybe grab him using Lotus Agents. I don't know. I do like him. I do see him being used in some Rogue decks. I just don't see him being used in all Rogue decks.
No, not all. No, like Miracle is not going to run him at all.
I'm not even sure that the final draft of Death Rattle Rogue will be running him.
You never know. It could be secret meta.
So next up we have Jade Idol, which is a 1-cost druid spell with the effect of choose one, summon a Jade Golem, or shuffle 3 copies of this card into your deck. If we're going to talk about a meta-defining card, let's just look at this card. This is essentially the linchpin of Jade Golem Druid right here, because you can shuffle 3 copies into your deck, which basically keeps you away from fatigue, and also makes sure that you can basically get those higher level Jade Golems. So you have to make the decision whether you're summoning a Jade Golem now or putting more into your deck for later. And the important part is this costs 1. So if you're running a Jade Golem Druid deck, you're going to be running things like your Lotus Agents to try to grab more of these. You're going to be running Raven Idols to try to grab more of these. And the important things is you want to be running Fandral Staghelm, so hopefully you can get off both of these effects. There's a lot of talk about different types of Druid decks, from Mill Druid to just regular Jade Golem Druid. I think this is just going to be a very important card, and it's going to involve a lot of strategy on your part to decide what you want to do with each specific card. You're going to have to keep track of how many Jade Idols you still have in your deck. There's going to be a lot of strategy with this card. I think it's the linchpin behind a whole new archetype, and I'm very excited for this card because, yeah, I kind of have to get 2 of these. So, yeah, I love this card. I can't wait to play with it. Let's have fun. Big long sigh from Eddie, so here we go.
I'm just going, this thing is so good. Fandral, Jade Idol. I get my Golem. 3 of those go into my deck. And if I'm holding its partner, I'm just going to go, okay, play both of them. I have 6 idols now in my deck. I'm also looking at this in Arena, because with Cthulhu, you really couldn't play Cthulhu in the Arena because of the risk of not drawing any of his followers.
Well, that's why they removed him.
Yeah, exactly why. With Jade Idol, if all the cards line up, you could play Jade Druid in Arena. And that's terrifying to think about. Plus, add to the fact that, given with Hearthstone at times, games can go into fatigue. This sucker is your stave off from fatigue. I absolutely and positively love Jade Idol. And I'm just sitting here going, like, as far as all my meta-defining cards go, that one sits at the top of my list. Like, at the very, very top. However, so I don't sit here and waste the rest of the time with this video just gushing about that one, we're going to move on to Devolve. Devolve is a 2-cost Shaman card that transforms all enemy minions into random ones that cost 1 less. I saw it when it was announced, and I disregarded it for the most part because I'm like, nah, that thing's not going to be used. And then I had to stop and go, it could be something that stops N'Zoth in its tracks, because my opponent plays N'Zoth. Devolve. And depending on how the mana numbers shape up, Doomcaller could pop up. And I just go, well, bunch of swear words. Bunch of swear words. It's a decent control card. I just don't know if it will see constructed play with how Shaman is. Like, it really, it could. It really could. And I want to fight for it. However, I'm just going, I don't know. Bob?
I do see some Shaman archetypes using this card, but I also see probably a lot of players not wanting to really use it because of how risky it is. Because they could just make things worse. They could always make things worse. It's a gamble, just like Evolve. But with Evolve, it's a gamble on your part to really just do crazy things. But now you're pretty much possibly giving your opponent an advantage. And some people don't think of it that way, but depending on the card level, it could very much be giving your opponent an advantage. I think, and if you're Shaman in general and mid-range Shaman in general, I'm not sure you use this as I'm not sure that you use this when you're thinking about control, because Shaman has enough area control effects anyway that's pretty much going to do the job of just wiping out the opponent's board. They really don't need Devolve. Maybe we'll see it a lot more than I'm expecting, but yeah, I'm on the cusp. I'm not sure. I guess it's something we just have to wait and see. But I'm just thinking, I'm with you. I think Shaman has better tools in general that I don't think the typical Shaman deck is going to use Devolve.
Now, something that does come to mind, all things considered, if we're going to look at Devolve to be potentially something useful, it could be something that kind of stomps the Jade Golems a little bit when you think about it.
Possibly.
So it's a thought. However, we're going to be moving on.
Call in the finishers. It's a 4-cost shaman spell that summons 4 1/1 Murlocs. Because, remember, Shaman has Murloc synergy. Kinda. To be fair, I still think Paladin has the better Murloc synergy. With a lot of Shaman's Murloc, big Murloc cards having already either rotated out or getting ready to rotate out, I'm not sure how big of an impact this will have for Murloc Shaman. With just 4 random 1/1 Murlocs. It could work, but I feel that this needs to be played in conjunction with something else. And, yeah, if we saw another Shaman Murloc card in the set, maybe, but I don't think this is enough to kind of save Shaman Murloc as an archetype.
Now, see, I look at Call in the finishers, and I go, depends on the mana cost of what those little buggers bring in. If they're all 4 cost, Devolve. I'm going to boost all those cards that just came out into the field up to 5s. And just go, hey buddy, how you doing? However, if we're going to try to play this in Shaman. Murloc Shaman. We're going to go to the wild for this one, because we're going to be able to play it with every Finn is awesome. And all of those 1/1s just turn into 3/3s. Have fun.
I'm just going to go out on a limb and saying that summoning 4 1/1s, they're probably all 1 cost.
We'll have to see.
I mean, that's generally how it goes, dude.
Yeah. I couldn't get potentially lucky and it'd be all 4 costs, so I could just go boost.
Nah, I don't think that's the case. I think they've thought this through.
Maybe. We'll see. Next up, though, we have Jade Behemoth. Is a 6-cost druid common with the stats of 3 attack and 6 health, with the effects of Taunt, Battle Cry, Summon a Jade Golem. Well, you've got more Jade Golem synergy with Jade Behemoth, plus it's a taunt. What self-respecting druid doesn't love taunt? Bob?
Fear the elephant. Fear him! Fear him! Now my Jade Golems are protected by a Jade Elephant! Ha-ha! I like it. It's cool. Me and him, we're gonna go. We're gonna go over and go to the pool on Saturday. He's gonna serve refreshing mineral water out of his trunk.
However, speaking of going to the pool on Saturday.
Okay, I get it. Fine. Next, we have Jinyu Waterspeaker, which is a 4-cost shaman minion with 4-cost 3/6 shaman minion with the battle cry, restore 6 health, and an overload of 1. It's pretty cool, I guess. I think the stat line is decent. It's decent health-wise. I am torn on the overload, though. I'm really torn on the overload. I don't understand, because I remember antique heal bot, which was, I believe it was a 5-cost minion, and it restored 8. I'm not sure.
Healbot.
I'm not sure why a 4-cost minion that restores 6 needs an overload of 1. I think the overload is completely unnecessary because I don't think the stat line warrants it, and I don't think the battle cry warrants it. But whatever. If you want heals, I think this is decent. But I don't understand this overload.
Yay, Shaman can heal itself now a lot more. I mean, you've already got Healing Wave if you need it. And if anything, if you want to, you can run Reno Shaman and throw this bad boy in there. But, okay. Yay, Jinyu Waterspeaker. Next up, we have Jade Chieftain. Staying in the Shaman area, he's a 7-cost, 5/5 with the battle cry summon a Jade Golem. However, he gives it Taunt. Now, depending on where you're sitting at, stat-wise, for your Jade Golem, he can either bring out something incredibly terrifying and I have to deal with it right now, or just something annoying that I have to deal with. I know that each class has a decent amount of ways to be able to deal with the taunt creature, and with him being a 7-cost, you're definitely going to be making sure you have to focus him in your Jade Golem decks. Well,
yeah, I think if you're running a Jade Golem Shaman deck, he's a must. If you're not, you can skip him.
Now that I think about it, he's a 7-cost, and he does summon a creature. You, depending on what you're going to do, you could run him for Evolve.
Yeah. Possibly, but I think you're going to get a lot more out of the Jade Golem decks. I like the concept of him. It's too bad he's in Shaman.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure how. If you're running a Shaman Jade Golem deck, yeah, run him. Otherwise, skip him. So next up, we have Virmen Sensei. Now, Virmen Sensei is a 5-cost 4/5 druid minion with the battle cry, give a friendly beast +2/+2. Here's the thing, if you're playing Beast Druid, I really can't see how this minion fits into Beast Druid at this point. Beast Druid was given a lot of really good synergistic cards in Whispers of the Old Gods and in Karazhan. And at this point, the list is pretty tight. I don't think you fit Virmen Sensei in. I think Beast Druid is fine enough on its own, so I really don't think Virmen Sensei has the home that Blizzard really thinks it does. So I don't think it's going to get played.
It's got a decent battle cry effect. I give it that. However, as you have stated, the list as far as Beast Druid is tight. So really what we're looking at here is we're going, is it worth it? Like, is it worth trying to potentially weasel it in there? Because, like, you've got your Stranglethorn Tiger sitting in that spot.
Or even your Inspire Beast that's sitting in that spot. Or just how many other specific Beast Druid type minions that are sitting in that spot and are necessary.
Yeah, so it's like, I don't see it. I really don't.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think that the timing is all wrong here.
Yeah. So, next we have Gadgetzan Ferryman. He's a 2-cost, 2/3 rogue card with the effect combo, return a friendly minion to your hand. Why? There's already cards that allow you to be able to return a friendly minion to your hand. Yes, there are cards that could make use of the combo effect of Gadgetzan Ferryman work. And he's not too bad at a 2/3 as far as stat line goes. But really, why? Why do I need this when I have other cards in my deck or in my class that allow me to bounce something back to my hand? That it's cheaper. Bob, maybe you can give me something at least different.
Yeah, I think the combo hurts it. I really think it should have been a battle cry. Just in general, you already have your Brewmasters and you already have your Shadow Steps. Rogue has different ways, and Rogue really is the class that takes advantage of returning minions back to their hand. It is the class. So part of me wants to say that I think that certain decks will find a home for it. The decks that really run off of just returning minions back to their hands, I think, could find a home for it. But I really think making it a combo card really hurts its chances here. I think Blizzard would have been much better off making it a battle cry, and this card would have been a lot better. But that being said, even though I think probably the Brewmasters and the Shadow Step are better, I think in a rogue deck that is dedicated to returning their own creatures back to their hands and getting max value out of them, I think this Ferryman actually might still find a home. But again, it's going to be in very certain, specific archetypes.
Immediately, another thing that just kind of just flipped into my mind was N'Zoth. So, drop N'Zoth, drop 2 coins if you've got him in hand, plop him, bounce N'Zoth back to your hand if you've already ran out of your Shadow Steps and everything. So, there's that little bit of annoyance too. So, yeah, I'm circling the drain.
Yeah, I do think that if he was going to find a home anyway, even if he was just a battle cry, it was going to be in the archetype and only certain archetypes. And I still think that in those archetypes that he's still going to be useful. So I don't think it's wise to write him off. But I do again think that it would have been better if he was just a plain old battle cry.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we have Daring Reporter, which is a 4-cost 3/3 minion that whenever your opponent draws a card, you gain +1/+1. And oh boy, I see this card just being abused. If certain archetypes and certain decks use Questing Adventurer, especially on the competitive level, I really see us using Daring Reporter. That I especially see Daring Reporter being used, especially in mill decks. Or just I just even without mill decks, I can see Daring Reporter being a decent card to tech in. So I think this card is good. I think this card is going to see a lot of play.
Oh yeah, I can definitely agree with you there. Just mill my opponent. I'm sitting here just watching her just go up and up and up and up and up. And it makes my opponent have to react to her. Because it's like, I have to be able to get rid of that card. While also trying to figure out, oh god, what am I going to draw in my hand? So it's... I won't also write her off in Arena either, because she can be useful there too. So, next up, we have Jade Claws. Jade Claws is a 2-cost, 2 attack, 2 durability shaman weapon with the battle cry, summon a Jade Golem, overload 1. At first, I was looking up to the skies and screaming, "Why does Shaman need another weapon?" And then I was hastily reminded by a close friend of mine that with each expansion release, that Shaman has gotten a weapon. And while it doesn't exactly make sense to me that this isn't a rogue weapon, because I feel it would fit better in rogue. I understand that if you have a particular quota that you're meeting with each expansion, well, here you go. This card, if anything, is definitely going to go into your Jade Golem decks. I don't see it having a home in something like Mid Shaman, because you've already got something better with Spirit Claws. So, well,
Yeah, I think you're kind of right that really the only major home this is going to have is going to be in Jade Golem decks. Because in general, if you're just looking for just a weapon for your regular Shaman deck, there are better options. I think it's kind of cool weapon for Shaman. It's probably one of the best Jade Golem cards in Shaman. And I think it's kind of cool. A 2-cost 2/2 weapon, yeah. So yeah, I think it's awesome. Yeah, that's about all I gotta say about that. Next up, we have Shadow Sensei, which is a 4-cost 4/4 rogue minion with a battle cry. Give a stealth minion +2/+2. This is actually not bad, given that stealth rogue minions got a lot of focus in this expansion. So this pretty much makes them all pretty good. If you're running Shaku, this could give you a chance to actually buff up your Shaku. But just in general, Rogue likes to give minions stealth and have stealth minions. So yay! So if you're running a stealth-focused deck, I can see you running Shadow Sensei. If you're not, people are going to give it a hard pass. It's going to be a very situational, I think, inclusion in decks, and it just depends on what your rogue deck is trying to do.
Secret stealth rogue meta that we don't know about yet? I mean, stealth's very hard to touch, so Shadow Sensei is useful in that sense. But other than that, if we're looking at it for... Oh, you had a thought?
I just thought if you go into Wild, Shade of Naxxramas.
Oh god, yeah, that thing. Alright, well, I mean, you've got that going on, so, I mean, there's you a pocket play there. However, it could see play in Arena. It's a good 4-cost body, so you've got that going for you at least. However, moving on to White Eyes. White Eyes is the Shaman legendary card. It's a 5-cost 5/5 taunt death rattle. Shuffle the Storm Guardian into your deck. The Storm Guardian is a 5-cost 10/10 taunt. Boosted frickin' animal. I'm just going, oh god. Like, depending on what you do, you can discover him. If you're priest, thank you for the wide eyes. I'm going to take that now. I don't like your 10/10 creature. I'm going to take that, or I'm going to big game hunter it. if I really want to, I can play him on turn 5. Give me a minute. Then play Moat Lurker. Put that Storm Golem in my deck. Or Storm Guardian in my deck. If I want to copy the Storm Guardian, I can. Or, White Eyes, excuse me. Excuse me again. The Moat Lurker. I can copy it. And just have more White Eyes pop out. With Shaman, I can just destroy the creature and have it be resurrected again. So there's a lot of things you can do with this thing just to keep it not only annoying and on the field, but also Storm Guardian synergy. God. You gotta polymorph that thing as soon as it comes out, or hex it, or whatever. You just... That can't naturally die. Well,
Yeah, I agree with you. I really like this card. I feel if I would somehow get this card, that I would have to figure out a way to make a deck that revolves around it. I just like it. I like it, the fact that and I get it. It's very scary, and we probably will see it played, which means we have to figure out ways to play around it. But yeah, there are ways to play around it, and it should be interesting. So yeah, looking forward to that. So anyway, that about does it for this episode. Next time, we're going to start working on the Mega Dump. We've gone through each of the 3 main gangs, but now it's time to cover the rest of the expansion. We hope to see you then, guys.